Let's welcome in our morning guest. Vikas Sethi is now joining us. Sumit Bagadia is with us, and Rohit Srivastav will also join us in just a bit. Vikas, let's start with you. Before we go to your picks, what is your view on the market? Okay, Sumit, let's actually start with you. Sumit, what are your what is your call on the Nifty? What are the levels to watch out for?
Hi, good morning, Pankaj. Well, as far as Nifty is concerned, I think Nifty is taking support at around 9,000 levels, and now from here on, we will see again a good up move in the Nifty, in which immediately we can see levels of around 9200 as the immediate target, and then overall we can see levels of around 9400 levels. I think in the current expiry, we can see levels of around 9200, 9250 soon. Now from here on, we should see a rally. So I think one should initiate long position in most of the stocks. We have selected few stocks for trading perspective for next couple of days. I think the first one is Hero MotoCorp. Hero MotoCorp is looking good on charts, and now it seems that on higher side we can see levels of around 3500 as an immediate target. So for a trading perspective, one can initiate long position at the current market price, or there is a dip of around 20 to 30 points from present levels, then that can be used as a good buying opportunity, with a stop loss to be placed at 3270 levels on lower side for the upside target of 3500 levels. The second pick for the day is HPCL. HPCL is looking good to me. In fact, all the oil marketing companies are looking good. Out of three, we have selected HPCL because immediately there is a possibility that we might see levels of around 550 and then overall target as a 570. So for a trading perspective, one can initiate long position in HPCL at CMP with a small stop loss to be placed at around 500 levels on lower side for the upside target of 550 and then 570 levels in next couple of days. The third pick for the day is from Housing Finance, and that is LIC Housing Finance. LIC Housing Finance has given a breakout, and now immediately on high side we can see levels of around 625 and 630 as an immediate target. For a trading perspective, one can initiate long position in LIC Housing Finance at CMP with a stop loss to be placed at around 580 levels on lower side for the upside target of 625 and 630 levels.
Right, that was picks coming in from Sumit. Vikas, before we go to your picks, what is your call on the market?
Good morning, Pankaj. As far as the markets are concerned, I continue to remain bullish on the markets. Today, because of the big event in the US, as far as the healthcare bill is concerned, we could see some volatility. But once that event goes through, I think we are again headed higher, and I think towards the expiry we could see further momentum on the Nifty. And from a medium to long term point of view, I think things are looking good for India as an economy. God willing, if monsoon also supports us, and the GST gets implemented on time, we are headed for 10,000 on Nifty by December of this year.
Right. And what are your picks to play this 10,000 level?
Actually, the picks which I'll recommend, although I like these stocks from a medium to long term point of view, and I see substantial upside even from the current levels, they are good. They look good even from today's trading point of view. My first pick would be a Tata Global. It's an excellent company, reputed, solid company with a solid fundamental and comes from a reputed parent. But the stock has clearly underperformed its peers over the past few years. And I think the stock was in focus yesterday, and the rally should continue today also. And then I think we would see higher levels on the stock today also. And my target for the day would be 160. If one were to keep this stock from a long-term point of view, I have pretty bullish targets. I think we could see levels of 250 rupees on the stock in about a year. The second stock which I like for today would be a Jain Irrigation. This is also a very good company, and there has been a significant improvement in the fundamentals of the company after Mandala Capital along with promoters infused around 800 crores into the company, which led to a reduction in the debt and reduction in interest costs, thereby improving the health of their balance sheet. And to add to that, the government's focus on rural economy, irrigation and agriculture would be pretty positive. The recent Maharashtra budget on Saturday also laid a lot of emphasis on irrigation and increased its allocation to irrigation. And Jain Irrigation being the dominant player in Maharashtra, I think the company would benefit out of it. So I think the stock would do well today, and I have a target of 100 rupees on the stock. And my third idea today would be an Arvind. The stock had corrected over the last few days, but we saw some bit of recovery yesterday towards the fag end of the market, and this stock is also fundamentally a good company, and there could be the value unlocking by way of demerger of its retail brands. So I'm bullish on the stock, and I think for today also one could look to buy into this stock, and I have a target of 405 rupees on the stock for today.
Right. I just wanted to ask about Tata Global. You mentioned that it has underperformed for years, but it has not been delivering on earnings. That's why it has never got that multiple which some of the other FMCG players have got. What do you think has changed recently? Okay, I think Vikas had some issue over there. What we'll do meanwhile is we'll ask Rohit about his top picks. Rohit, what is your levels on Nifty to watch out for and what are the picks that you have?
Well, my sense is that the Nifty is probably peaked for the short to medium term and we may be in some kind of a corrective mode. The high that we recently saw would probably be the cutoff for that view, and I think in the short term, as we are bouncing back a bit over the last day, 91.20, 91.30 might be the resistance levels to watch out for today, and if we stay below that or sell off from there, then we would probably head to 88, 8700 on the downside. So that's what we are looking in the short term. And so to play that trade, we look for weakness in sectors like IT and banking and probably even autos. I think these three sectors probably and focus a little more on the index stocks initially because you get a lot of volatility in the mid caps, but eventually if you're getting a sell off, it should spread to the broad market as well. So you'll have to look at individual ideas where such weakness is visible, but I think IT and banking would be on the top of the mind from the selling perspective.
Rohit, do you think that global markets would also see a correction? Because as of now, it's been a global rally, at least in the last 2 months.
I think so, because what you're getting, which you typically see in a risk-off scenario is you get rally in the bond market. Now you're seeing the US bond market, which was in decline for almost 6 to 8 months, actually seeing a rebound and a rebound from an extremely oversold state. And when I say that, I say it on the basis of both sentiment and the positions, the CFTC positions, which actually show you huge oversold, short sale buildup, which had happened into the recent sell-off and into the decline that had happened into December. So you have like a sort of a double bottom there now. And so as yields have started to drop over the last week or so, you get this inversion between equity and bonds, and I think that is likely to play out in the days or weeks ahead. So the near term, you should look at yields dropping and probably equities correcting from the significant rally that we've seen in the US market, and that should then spill over to other markets as well.
Right. Vikas, I just wanted to ask about your pick on Tata Global. You said that Tata Global has underperformed the peers. Yes, it has, but it has not delivered on earnings as well or great earnings growth. What do you think has changed now?
No, actually, I feel there is a lot of value in the stock. The stock has clearly, if you look at other stocks in the, say, the peer group like the FMCG sector, the other stocks have done pretty well. And this company, despite being a very good company and say trades at a pretty attractive valuations, a pretty significant discount to its peers. So I think some catching up has to be done. And yesterday also the stock was in focus. I think there was a tremendous amount of buying in the stock, and that should continue. And if one were to hold on to the stock from a long-term point of view, I definitely feel you could get an upside of close to 50% in about a year.
Right. So it's not only a momentum-based call, it's also a long-term call.
Yeah, true. Fundamentals are improving, and the stock has been undervalued for quite some time, and I think this has to bridge the valuation gap with its peers. So I think we could see some significant upside in the stock from the current levels.
Right. Let's focus on some stocks also that are in news right now. So Yes Bank overnight opened a QIP to raise $650 million. What I can pick up from my sources now is that the QIP in the last 20 minutes has been shut. It's got a great response, and the QIP is now behind. The offer had a 100 million green shoe option. What is a green shoe option? So the base size was 650 million, as you saw on the first set of graphics, and it can add about 100 million if the demand is good. The floor price for the issue was 1498.9, but the management in the release has said that the bank may offer a discount of 5% on the floor price, which means around the 1450 mark, 1440 mark. That's where where the deal could be. CLSA is one of the bankers. There are three other bankers: IIFL, Motilal, and Merrill Lynch. These are the other three bankers in the deal, but CLSA is the lead banker. JP Morgan has written a note. They are saying that post QIP, Yes Bank would trade at a discount of 22% to IndusInd Bank, which is very attractive because the growth rate for both the companies are decently good. QIP will remove a significant overhang as far as the balance sheet is concerned. Their balance sheet strength was one of the big concerns, but now with the QIP, they would have sufficient capital to grow by FY 18 or 19. So that's also one bit of positive that they have. Their target price is around the 1520 mark. So it's just where the stock is. They've not changed that at this point of time, but they believe that this news flow comes in as a positive development. Remember, the stock was up around 2 to 3% yesterday. The stock is up around 1.3, 1.4% right now in the pre-open. So it's already gone up about 5 to 6% after this particular deal, after this particular QIP that has gone through. Rohit, in terms of Yes Bank, what do you think are the levels to watch out for? It's been in a bullish trend for some time now. Do you think it will continue?
Well, if I just look at a simple thing like momentum indicators, they all show a loss of momentum at this level, but definitely it's moved up a lot, so which is very similar to what it did when they tried to do the QIP the last time, and they gave up when prices gave up, and so I guess this time will probably just go through. But having said that, these issues typically tend to come out after prices have already moved, and so in that sense, I don't know whether it tells you anything about the future, about the stock movement. Definitely it means that till this issue is complete, prices don't really do much. They'll probably hold up here, but as I said, the price itself has already lost some momentum, and so I would think that once the issue is through, you'll probably see some kind of a correction in the stock.
Right. Vikas, what will be your call on Yes Bank? Do you think that it adds a lot to the book value, so there's no reason for any correction in Yes Bank?
Actually, you are right in saying that it would certainly add to their book value. The quality of their asset is also pretty good when you compare it with peers. The growth has also been pretty good. So I think there would be interest in this stock. But as far as short-term point of view is concerned, I think we could see a limited upside from the current levels. But then on any correction, this would be a good stock to buy into from a long-term point of view. So from a trading point of view, I think we could see another upside to levels of say 1550, 1570 levels. But then from an investment point of view, I think one should look for corrections to be able to buy into this stock.
Right. Another stock that will be in focus will be Bharti Airtel. What Bharti has done is they have acquired 4G businesses of Trikona for about 1600 odd crore. It's a very small acquisition considering the size of Bharti and the size at which they operate right now. What Bharti would get is 100 megahertz of spectrum divided into 5 circles, 20 megahertz into different operations. It's a 2300 megahertz band, which means it's a 4G band that they are looking at. They also get 350 sites in these 5 circles divided by 5. So that's the sites that they get. The company had acquired this spectrum in 2010 for 1,060 odd crores, and post this deal, Bharti, in terms of their strength, out of the 22 circles where they operate 4G in 13, they would have 13 megahertz each, which means that they would have significant capacity into these 13 circles versus what some of their peers have, and that's why it's an important development. But it's a small development; it's not much or very big as far as the acquisition is concerned. Sumit, what will be your call on Bharti? I know you don't look at fundamentals, but what are the levels to watch out for?
Well, Pankaj, as far as technicals are concerned, I think the stock is moving in a range. Now, from levels of 370, we were expecting a correction in the counter in which we had given targets of around 335. 335 targets have already achieved. Now, immediately looking at the chart, it seems that the counter will move in a range. That means 335 on lower side to 370 on higher side. I think either side breakout will give a move in the counter. If we see a breakdown below 335, then there is a possibility that in short term we can see levels of around 310. And if 335 is not taken away, then from present levels we will see a pullback in the counter in which we can see levels of around 360, 370 as an immediate target, and on higher side 370 would be the final level or barrier above which we will see Bharti touching levels of around 400 soon. So I think either side breakout will give a move. Now if anyone wants to initiate a position at present levels, then I think one can take a chance by initiating a long call at present levels, or if there is a dip of around 2 to 3 points from present levels, then that can be used as a good buying opportunity. Stop loss can be placed at around 335 levels on closing basis for the immediate upside till 360 and 370 levels.
Right, and what will be your call on Idea as well? That's also been in news.
See, Idea is looking weak. Frankly speaking, it has given a breakdown below 100 levels, and now looking at the chart, it seems that on downside there is a possibility that we might see levels of around 85 also. So the overall range for Idea is 85 on lower side to 100 rupees on higher side. Fresh up move will be seen only if we are able to see closing above 100 levels.
Right, just about a few seconds remaining for markets to open. Yes Bank will be in focus. Both Bharti and Idea have been attracting a lot of volumes, so they'll be in focus. These are the first ticks for you. Nifty is up around 15 points, 1,000, close to about 9,000. 98, 12 points higher for the Nifty. HDFC Bank is at 1,458 and BHEL is looking strong. ICICI Bank is up 1.2%. That's Yes Bank for you, 1.5% higher. The QIP has gone through. That's what we can pick up from the sources. But the stock is also seeing some amount of movement over there. That's Yes Bank for you, close to about 1.1% higher. Bharti Airtel, 2.5% higher. That's among the top gainers, 346 right now for Bharti. Of course, Bharti, there is some news flow. Yes Bank, there is some news flow, and both these stocks are reacting to that. That's Bharti Airtel for you, 2.5% on the higher side. Both these are among the top gainers as far as the Nifty 50 pack is concerned. ICICI Bank is also gaining in, so there seems to be some amount of risk-off trade into this space. ICICI Bank is now the second top gainer. Idea is up 0.7, not much in terms of gain, but it's doing well. So post this QIP, ICICI is up, Bank of Baroda is up, Axis Bank is also on the higher side. So all these 3-4 names are attracting a lot of volumes, a lot of action, at least in the first opening session. So these names are doing well. These names are doing extremely well at this point of time. That's Yes Bank for you, back to the day's high, 1.3, 1.4% on the higher side for Yes Bank. BPCL is the biggest loser, but that's going ex-dividend today. So it's went by ex-dividend 8 rupees. So there's a technical adjustment over there. Tata Motors is down about 0.4, 0.5 odd percent. That's also a name which is buzzing right now, or buzzing at this moment. BPCL on your screen is down about 7 to 8 odd rupees, but that's a technical adjustment. Let's look at some of the mid-cap names that are moving. So an ITI, okay, Shriram EPC is up 8%, 29 rupees. ITI was up 20% yesterday. It's up another 4% right now. Subex Limited is up 2%. Ujjas Energy has got an order that's up about 6 to 7 odd percent right now. Fortis Healthcare is up close to 2%. Again, no news flow on Fortis Healthcare, but it's up close to about 2 odd percent. KC International went up quite significantly yesterday. It's up close to about 2% right now as well. So that's also a name which is doing well at this moment. And Prestige Estates has opened on a high note at this point of time. HPCL is down 1.5. BPCL, of course, we spoke in the Nifty 50 pack, is also looking on the weaker side. Names like Interglobe Aviation, Shobha Developers, which have done well recently, are slightly on the lower side. But apart from that, most of the names are likely to pick up, or to see a pickup in the volumes. Rohit, what will be your call on oil marketing companies? In the last 2 to 3 years, this is the first time that these stocks are looking very weak.
Yeah, so I think they are going through some correction, and you probably just let that happen. I think the long-term trend would probably stay intact, but I think short to medium term, you might continue to see a correction from the levels that they had reached. So you've seen an initial sell-off. It's possible they bounce a bit and then they sell off some more, and then eventually find a bottom maybe later this year. And then I think you should see higher prices again going forward. But a lot might also depend on how oil prices behave. Now, while we've seen a short-term correction in oil, back to, $48, $47, $45, if you don't really go below these levels and you start a rally in the oil market, then that probably puts some pressure on the oil marketing companies, I think, near term.
Right. So what do you do with these names? You think right now they are in focus because of the dividend pay as well? So just let it get out, let all the company gets ex-dividend, and then probably look at them?
Yeah, they're going through a correction. I think you let it happen. If you're a long-term holder, you wouldn't really be bothered about it because the trend's been up for quite a long time. You have gains, and you might just be getting a correction in the big picture. Shorter term, you probably avoid the long side. I don't have a really short view for these stocks because at some point of time they could rebound. But I think the long trade needs to be avoided for the time being.
Right. Vikas, what is your call on oil marketing companies? They've given fantastic returns, fantastic dividend as well. Do you think that valuations are factoring in the best?
Yeah, Pankaj, I feel the policy of the government to extract dividend as much as possible has not been liked by the markets. And these oil marketing companies may not do as well as they've been doing in this quarter or the next quarter. So that is the reason why we are witnessing some kind of profit booking in oil marketing companies. But as far as crude oil prices are concerned, they continue to drift lower. So that would be positive for oil marketing companies. I think one would need to wait for a slight bit more of correction into these stocks and then buy into these stocks. And over a medium term point of view, I think they can give you returns from the current levels.
Right. What will be your call on Coal India, Vikas? Do you think Coal India offers a good bet? So they've given one dividend and there is another board meet for the second dividend. Do you think that should be taken positively?
I think Coal India looks good. Fundamentals are pretty solid. The government has been after all these PSUs to get hefty dividends or as much dividend as possible. So there is a dividend play, and to add to that, the fundamentals look good, and at the current valuations, the stock looks good from a medium to long term point of view. So I think one would do well to invest into Coal India from a long term point of view.
Sumit, what's your call on REC, PFC? Both these names go up every day in a small manner, and suddenly they are looking at a 52-week high.
Both the names are strong. In fact, we will see a good rally in next couple of weeks. As far as REC is concerned, is presently quoting at around 168 levels, and from here on we will see a rally in which immediately we can see levels of around 180, 190 as an immediate target. And overall, if we see, the counters are strong, and in last couple of months we have seen that from lower levels we have seen a one-way rally in REC. Now immediately the counter is looking strong. I think those who have taken positions at lower levels, they can hold on the existing positions, and if anyone wants to initiate a fresh position, then they can initiate long positions, because this time if 170 is taken away, then we will see a rally till 190 levels in REC. And as far as PFC is concerned, PFC is looking strong. It's quoting at around 145 levels. From here we are expecting counter to give breakout, and on higher side we are expecting it to touch levels of around 160 as an immediate target, and overall 170. So for the targets of 170, one can initiate long positions at present levels also.
Right. In terms of DV's Lab, Dr. Reddy's, Sumit, they have been in focus. What is your call on these two names?
See, as far as most of the pharma stocks are concerned, I think most of the pharma stocks have made a short-term bottom, and from here on we will see a rally. But as far as Divi's and Dr. Reddy is concerned, they had gained a correction in last couple of days because of the news. I think as far as Divi's Lab is concerned, immediately the stock has support at around 610 levels. So if 610 is not taken away, then we will see some pullback rally in Divi's Lab from present levels. Presently it's quoting at around 628, and 610 is a support for Divi's Lab. So if anyone wants to initiate a position, then strictly with a stop loss, one can initiate long positions. Stop loss should be placed at around 610 levels for the immediate upside till 650, and then 670 levels. This would be the immediate range for Divi's Lab. Breakout above 700 will give confirmation for the bullish move. Till that time 700 is not taken away on high side, I think Divi's Lab will move in a range 610 on lower side to 670, 700 on higher side.
Right. Rohit, what will be your call on some of these pharma names? They are reacting quite sharply in the past few days. Do you think pharma, how would you look at pharma large cap stocks?
No, my sense is that the final bottom for the pharma sector is still not in place. I think that you'll probably see a decline for at least another quarter in many of these names, and then we would probably look for the low point So I think they remain in generally bearish trend. I mean, the few performers are probably, the outliers, those which had not really participated in the pharma rally. So they are completely a different list of stocks. But the large caps, like you said, which is the Sun, Reddy, Cipla, I think they remain under pressure, and one should probably avoid them. Start looking for a bottom only somewhere in the second half of this year.
Right, but as of now, there is no hurry to buy the pharma names. It's a sector which markets always like.
No, there's absolutely no hurry. They've underperformed. The sectors liked typically in difficult times, but they'd overshot and they've corrected, but the correction doesn't seem complete. So I think there's more downside still to be seen.
Right. Vikas, what is your call on the real estate names? Most of these companies which have some real estate land bank assets have done pretty well. Do you think markets is now starting to price in, any of the, or these companies on a NAV basis rather than just the earnings that they show?
Yeah, true. It looks like that most of the real estate stocks have done well over the past few months or so. But then I think we would need to be cautious on the sector and need to look at the quality of the balance sheet, the leverage which they have. So from the space, I like, in the bigger realty companies, I like Oberoi Realty and Godrej Properties. And if you want to play momentum, I think DLF could be one stock which could be looked at, because there are expectations of some positive news flow in the form of they being able to sell their rental assets and reduce their debts. And I'm particularly bullish on the affordable housing segment, the companies which belong to that category or which operate in affordable housing segment. And my picks from that would be in Ashiana Housing, which looks good from a long-term point of view. I think any correction in Ashiana Housing would present an opportunity to buy from a long-term point of view. So I would advise investors to keep this stock on their radar.
Right. Any call on Ashiana Housing? I mean, it's a play on affordable. That's why you would want to buy, or they have done well in terms of numbers?
Sorry, Pankaj, could you please come again?
I'm saying for Ashiana Housing, what is the call? Is it a play on affordable housing, or it's a company which has done well in terms of execution? What is the call on Ashiana Housing? Okay, I think that he cannot hear me, so we'll just fix that. Sumit, tire stocks have done very well. Any names that you like, whether it's a CEAT, whether it's a MRF, any names that you like in the tire space?
Tire stocks are doing good. They have shown some moment in last couple of days. And looking at the chart, it seems that CEAT and Apollo, both the stocks are looking good. As far as Apollo is concerned, in last 7 days, we have seen that stock has moved up from the levels of around 185, and now it has taken some pause at around 205 levels. From present levels, there is a possibility that we can see a fall of around 4 to 5 points. But overall, now the structure is bullish, and on higher side, there is a possibility that we might see levels of around 225 and 230 as an immediate target in Apollo Tire. So I think if there is a correction of around 4 to 5 points from present levels, then that would be a good buying opportunity. And at present levels also, if anyone wants to initiate a position, then that should be on buy side. One can initiate long positions between 200 and 205 levels for an immediate upside till 225, 230 levels. The structure is bullish, so one should initiate long position in every dip, and present levels are good levels to initiate long positions.
Right. What would be the preference in this sector? What would be the pecking order if somebody wants to buy one stock or two stocks?
See, the first one out of 3 stocks, I think the first one is Apollo Tire, and the second one is CEAT. CEAT has also given a very good move from the levels of around 1100. Now the stock is quoting at around 1320 levels. This is also looking strong. This can touch levels of around 1400 as an immediate target. But if anyone wants to have a preference or chronological order, then the first one should be Apollo Tire and second one should be CEAT.
Right. Rohit, have you looked at the chart of Federal Bank? It's done extremely well versus the banking index in the last 2 months or so. Do you like this name?
Well, my sense is that you're likely to see a correction in the banking sector as such with the market as a whole. So I don't think even the best performers would be spared if that turns out to be true. But that said, Federal Bank has been among the list of performers, but I would really want to wait and watch right now.
Right. Vikas is also with us. Vikas, Federal Bank, what is your call over there? It's been one of the good performing banks versus some of the others.
Yeah, true, Pankaj. I like this stock. I've been recommending this stock from quite some time from pretty lower levels. I continue to remain bullish on Federal Bank. I think we could see some kind of consolidation or an M&A activity in the private sector, smaller private sector banking space, and all these banks like Federal Bank, a Karnataka Bank, or a South Indian, or a Dhanlakshmi Bank could all get re-rated. So I like this stock, and I think from a trading point of view also today, this bank looks good. And if one has a medium to long term point of view, I think it should be bought into, and my targets are 115 to 120 rupees on the stock from a medium to long term point of view.
Right. Vikas, what will be your call on Bank of Baroda? It's now the top gainer on the Nifty pack.
Yeah, from the public sector banking space, this also continues to remain my favorite. I've been particularly talking about Bank of Baroda and State Bank of India and PNB from the space. And as far as Bank of Baroda is concerned, I think the management changes which had been done would be pretty positive for this bank. And among the public sector banks, I feel this could be the first bank to come out of this NPA mess. So I like this stock. And since the results last quarter were not good, the stock has corrected. I think this is presenting a very good opportunity for long-term investors to acquire the stock.
Right. Sumit, what's your call on PSU banks? What are the names that you like within the PSU banking names?
See, the first stock is SBI. SBI is looking good. In fact, this time we feel that SBI, if moves from here, gives up move from here, then we will see levels of around 300 as the immediate target. The first stock should be SBI in the portfolio for a trading perspective as well as for a as well as for an investment perspective. I think one can initiate long positions in SBI at CMP also, which is at around 271 levels, because on downside there is a support in SBI at around 260 to 62 levels. So till the time these levels are not taken away, it's a good buy at CMP for the upside of 280 and then 300 levels as an immediate target. If the stock is able to break 300, then we will see a rally till 330 levels. I feel in next 3 to 6 months time horizon we can see levels of around 330 in SBI. So for a trading perspective and as far as for an investment perspective, one can initiate long positions as in SBI at CMP.
Right. Let's just pull up the stock of KEC International. It's spiked right now. It was up some 7% yesterday during close, and it's up about 5% right now. So it's up 12% in the last 2 days. Let's look at the volumes as well. 1.3 million, which means around 13 lakh shares on NSE, which is a very strong volume. It's not a very well-traded counter. Just look at the volumes of a 10-day average. It's just 42,000. And versus that, look at the volumes right now. Very, very strong move coming in for KEC. Yesterday in second half also it did very well. Vikas, do you track KEC International? Do you like this name? Do you like the transmission space?
Yeah, this stock looks good. The stock has been in focus over the past few days. There could be, I think, news related to them making some good big order. But even otherwise, I think from a long-term point of view, the space looks good, and within the space, KEC International looks good. So I would recommend that investors look for buying opportunities into the stock.
Right, but despite the run-up, it's looking strong.
I think one would use a staggered approach to buying into the stock. Since it has run up, it would certainly correct, and those corrections should be used as buying opportunities. So one could buy some quantity at the current market price and then wait for corrections to add some more.
Right. Vikas, do you like the banking and financial space? I mean the NBFC space? Some of the NBFCs like M&M Finance, Bharat Finance have done very well. Do you think any correction or the recent underperformance over there is a buying opportunity?
Yeah, Pankaj, the sector has been my favorite over the past few months. Ever since they corrected sharply during after the news of demonetization, those presented very good buying opportunities. And particularly, I like M&M Finance and L&T Finance and Bajaj Finance from the NBFC space, and even from the microfinance space. I think Ujjivan, Equitas, they look good. Even Bharat Finance looks good, although the stock has become volatile of late because of their merger talks with IndusInd Bank. But any correction on any particular day presents a very good trading opportunity in even Bharat Finance. And both the other stocks like the Equitas and Ujjivan, they are also going to get included in the F&O segment from 31st March. So they also look good. And if one has a long-term point of view, I think microfinance continues to remain a very good story. So one could buy into an Ujjivan, Equitas or a Bharat Finance from the space.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking out time for us. Just before we go, Vikas, let's start with you. Any disclosures?
Pankaj, it would be safe to assume that the stocks which we have discussed or which I have recommended, there could be my clients or my friends' interest in them.
Sumit, for you?
Yes, absolutely, Pankaj. We have discussed many frontliner stocks on NDTV Profit, and it's better to assume that our clients might have positions on the frontliner stocks because we share the same view with them which we have shared on NDTV Profit. Thank you very much, Pankaj.